Hey everybody, it's Jeff from New York with the very last video from the New York channel for 2024. It's been a wild, crazy, busy year filled with a lot of travel, seen a lot of activities, done a lot of stuff, and I brought you guys all along with me. So before we head into new stuff in 2025, let's take a look back at 2024 and see what we've done. Now, I've been to Las Vegas lots of times in the past, but this year I went to check out new stuff that I've never seen before. I wanted to visit a lot of new places and also visit places that I'll never see again. During this particular visit, I stayed at the Mirage, something I really wanted to do since I knew it would be the last time I'd stay there, and it was one of my favorite places. And when the Mirage closed this summer, I spent an entire week here on the New York channel paying homage to that wonderful resort. I also showed you guys the beginning of the demolition of the Tropicana. But not everything in Las Vegas was being torn down. Lots of places were opening up and being built. I showed you the Boulevard, a multi-use property on the Las Vegas Strip. Gonna have some shops and restaurants and perhaps the world's largest In-N-Out burger. I also brought you over to the Fontainebleau, one of the newest properties that opened up here on the Strip. I've never been to any of the Madame Tussauds wax museums, and this past year MGM gave me a ticket, so I figured why not go, and I brought you guys along with me. I was really impressed. They're very lifelike. And of course, no trip to Vegas would be complete without a trip downtown. We saw the Fremont Street Experience as well as the East Fremont District. Lots of new restaurants had opened up in Las Vegas over the past year, and I started a series, The Restaurants of the Las Vegas Strip. Started this year, 2024, and will continue into next year, 2025. I stayed at several hotels in Las Vegas this year, and I'm going to show you a separate montage of all the hotel rooms that I've been in this year, not only in Las Vegas, but all over the country. That's coming up later in this video. This past summer, Hard Rock contacted me and said, "Hey Jeff from New York, would you like to come down to beautiful southern Florida and check out our hotel and casino here in Hollywood, the beautiful Guitar Hotel and Casino?" And I said, "Let me think about it, okay." And before I knew it, there I was. I was having a great time at Hard Rock and a good time showing you guys around, but then I figured, well, you know what? Key West is only 3 hours away and I've got this convertible Mini Cooper. I turned the trip into a road trip. The 3-hour drive down to Key West alone was a blast. I dropped the top in the Mini Cooper and stopped off at a couple places for snacks and other places for shopping. Once I made it to my destination down in Key West, I booked myself a room at a beautiful bed and breakfast. I showed you guys around there and spent most of that evening and the rest of the day down on Duval Street checking out all the sights and attractions and restaurants down in Key West. I basically only had a day and a half down here in Key West, but I've been here many times before and I knew all the places to go and show you guys. We stopped off here at Mallory Square for a beautiful sunset, then headed over to Duval Street. Showed you Duval Street both during the daytime and nighttime. Completely different vibes day and night on Duval Street. We stopped off at a lot of shops and restaurants. The restaurants, of course, shown on the Jersey Jeff Eats channel. And speaking of the Jersey Jeff Eats channel, it will be having its own year-end review this week as well. Unfortunately, the weather took a turn for the worst in southern Florida. The roads were flooded and the airport closed down, and I had to spend the night on a cold airport floor. But I managed to get in a couple Z's, and the next day I was back off to Atlantic City Airport. Of course, traveling's a lot of fun, but when I come home, I am in one of the most beautiful places there is as far as I'm concerned, the Jersey Shore. And if I didn't like it, well, I would have moved a long time ago. I love the Jersey Shore. It's beautiful all year round, but especially in the summer. This summer alone, I brought you guys along with me to check out Cape May, Ocean City, Point Pleasant Beach, Seaside Heights, the Wildwoods, Asbury Park, Avon by the Sea, Bradley, and many other places. And of course Atlantic City, which is a major part of this channel and has its own section here in this video later. From the beautiful Victorians of Cape May to Ocean Grove and the wonderful boardwalks of Point Pleasant, Seaside Heights, Ocean City, to the amusement piers of Wildwood and Seaside as well. I've been coming to the Jersey Shore my entire life, and it's where I call home now. And while traveling around the country is a lot of fun and bringing you guys along with me, there's no place like home, and well, the Jersey Shore is my home base. And this past summer, I showed you guys around a little bit. Hey guys, if you're enjoying all the videos that were here in 2024 and you're not subscribed yet, consider doing it right now. Just click that little New York logo in the lower right hand corner of your screen. It's totally free and you'll be up to date on all the videos that come here to the channel, and if you're enjoying this video in particular, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to, share it on your social media. That gets the video more views and the channel new subscribers. Finally, if you'd like to help support the New York channel and make videos like this one possible in the future, then click on that super thanks button right underneath the video. Doing so not only helps support the channel, but it'll get you a shout out on a future video. And a shout out to Keith Matthews and his family for leaving a super thanks on my latest Atlantic City video, the last walk on the boardwalk for 2024. Thanks so much, Keith, for your support. I really do appreciate it. We visited a lot of places at the Jersey Shore this past summer, and we certainly will visit a lot more in 2025. New Orleans is one of my favorite cities in the US. I just love the culture, the music, the food, everything about it. I love visiting this place, and the funny thing is I visited it this past, well, near the end of the summer, and you guys have barely seen any of these videos yet. Here's a group honoring Richard Simmons, a native of New Orleans. Rest in peace, Richard. The reason I'm including the New Orleans videos that you haven't seen yet in the 2024 review is because that's when the videos were recorded. But you will see these videos near the beginning of 2025. And trust me, I'm sure I'm returning during 2025 as well. They say New York City is the city that never sleeps, and I'm here to tell you, well, yeah, New York City does sleep, but New Orleans, well, it never sleeps. It's going 24/7. Most of the bars in town never close, and there's always live music everywhere. The food is some of the best the country has to offer, and some of these restaurants are over 100 years old. And speaking of old things, if you appreciate architecture like I do, well, these are some of the oldest buildings in the US as well. On top of that, beautiful hotels and must-see attractions everywhere you turn. Brennan's here is known for the best Eggs Benedict in the country. Of course, I ordered the Bananas Foster. Bananas Foster being invented right here at Brennan's. And here we have Café Beignet, pretty good beignets, but not as good as Café du Monde. The hotels in New Orleans are beautiful, some of them pretty new, some of them extremely old. I'll show you around a bunch of them and where I stayed as well. Did I mention gambling? Yep, it's right here in the French Quarter as well. I'll show you that and lots more from New Orleans, but first, we have to get through Niagara Falls. Speaking of which, Back in October of 2024, I flew up to Niagara Falls, right next to Buffalo, New York. I did visit the falls when I was a child. I believe I was around 4 years old, but I remember very little of that visit. I figured as a content creator, there's a lot to see here, and it's got casinos. Perfect for the New York channel. While I've posted several videos already on the Jersey Jeff Eats channel on the restaurants in this area, I haven't really shown you around much either on the American side or the Canadian side, simply because the holiday season kind of put the whole channel on pause. December was pretty much dedicated to the holidays. So starting 2025, the next couple of days, we're going to continue with Niagara Falls. You're going to see a lot more videos coming out of here. As with most of my short trips, I was here for 4 days, I didn't go unprepared. I rested before I left, rested when I got back home, and in between I took advantage of my time as much as possible. On this trip I stayed on the New York side and I visited the Canadian side while I was there, and of course there's the falls to see as well. I went over them, under them, in them, you name it, I got wet during this trip. In all my travels, I think these are the most beautiful videos I've ever taken, except for perhaps maybe the Grand Canyon. If you haven't seen those videos, they're quite beautiful. On this particular trip, I spent 4 days at the Seneca Niagara Resort and Casino on the US side of the falls. It was a very nice hotel within walking distance of the Rainbow Bridge, which you take to get from the US side to the Canadian side. Other than Ubering from the airport to the hotel and back again, I really didn't use any transportation at all during this trip. Everything was within walking distance, including the stuff on the Canadian side. You just have to walk across that Rainbow Bridge and make sure you have your passport with you. Keep in mind, I like to walk. Quite honestly, there's a lot to see here in Niagara on both sides of the falls, and well, I spent 4 days. One of them was a washout. It completely rained, and quite frankly, everything you do here is outdoors, so that was pretty much a washout. 4 days was not long enough. I do plan on coming back. Next time, I'll stay on the Canadian side. This is that Rainbow Bridge I was talking about. It connects the US side to the Canadian side. It's very pedestrian friendly. It also offers some great shots of Niagara Falls and the surrounding areas. Hello, Canada! On the American side, you're right next to the falls. On the Canadian side, you get a better view of the falls with the American Falls on the left and the Horseshoe Falls on the right. Horseshoe Falls, by the way, being half in the US and half in Canada. While on the Canadian side, I visited Clifton Hill, a very touristy area of Niagara Falls on the Canadian side, but hey, I always said there's nothing wrong with touristy areas. I'm sure you guys know by now that if there's an observation wheel within walking distance to me, I'm gonna hop on it, and that's exactly what I did here on the Canadian side. I did it at dusk. It offered some great views of the falls at night. Anyway, you'll see all of these Niagara Falls videos as we head into 2025. Of course, it wouldn't be the New York channel without the Atlantic City videos, and the year 2024 was no exception. Just about an hour south of where I lived is America's Playground. And just like in years previously, I put a lot of mileage in this year in Atlantic City. And I'm not talking about my car, I'm talking about walking. There were boardwalk videos, there were beach videos, hotel and casino videos, restaurants inside the hotels and casino videos, restaurants outside the hotels and casinos. I did a lot of driving around town videos. I did walking videos. I even walked from the boardwalk all the way over to the marina side. I explored new neighborhoods. I covered parades, holidays, and of course the Christmas videos that are right behind us here in December. I even went for long walks on the beach during a sunset, pretty much so I wouldn't be lying on my dating apps. Of course, stopping off at all the beach bars along the way. During this year, we also explored the Ducktown neighborhood as well as the University District here in town. We stopped off at the shops at Tanger Outlets and stopped into the recently opened Dave & Buster's. Shout out to the staff at Dave & Buster's, including the security. Super friendly there. The food is fantastic. We went for walks, and more walks, and more walks. My favorite thing to do, and I even showed you guys shortcuts around town. And again, I took lots and lots of walks on this beautiful beach. I think it's the most underutilized asset this town has, and more people should take advantage of the beach here in Atlantic City. Trust me, nothing clears your mind and feeds your soul like a long walk on the beach and some deep breathing. You'll feel like $1,000,000. During the year, we checked out some fights, some game shows, as well as entertainment shows. There were countless slot pulls here in Atlantic City during the course of the year, and I'm not sure if I won any of them, but you know what? I had a good time and I was glad I could bring you guys along. Atlantic City is a great place to visit during St. Patrick's Day, and well, I certainly did that this past year, and I plan on doing it next year as well. And I thought I was going to catch pneumonia. This was really a very cold, windy day. I wasn't prepared for it, I wasn't dressed for it, but you know what? I didn't get sick, and I had a great time. Of course, anyone who knows anything about Atlantic City knows the Orange Loop is the place to go after the parade's open. I stopped off at the Irish Pub in Cardinal. Then I headed over to the Wild Wild West, which is now known as simply the West. After a few drinks at the Irish Pub Cardinal and here at the West, I realized I wasn't going to catch pneumonia. The alcohol's going to fight it off. Besides, I wasn't driving home. And of course, a trip to the Steel Pier at night this year. If you remember, I also stopped by the Absecon Lighthouse here at the inlet on the North Beach of Atlantic City earlier this year. If you're in town and looking for something to do, I really suggest you check out this lighthouse, especially if you're on the northern end of the boardwalk. It's only a block or two from the boardwalk and it's pretty much free. If you want to climb the lighthouse, there is a small donation. And as I stated earlier, I got into my car and took you guys all around town on a couple drives I took this year around Atlantic City, just showing you all the different areas. Needless to say, Atlantic City, like any other city here in the US, has its good areas and bad areas, and I pretty much showed you all of them here during the past year. And as the year was coming to an end, of course, I held the annual Who Decorated the Best here in Atlantic City for the Holidays contest, and it was the third annual one, and this was the most popular one so far. Contest is becoming very popular here on the New York channel, and who was the winner? You'll have to watch that series to find out. This 2024 year in review is almost over, but not quite yet. I have yet to show you all of the hotel rooms I've stayed in the past year. Stay tuned.
Hi from Montreal, Canada. This video are the best. We are going to review.
I don't even know where to begin with regards to hotel rooms the past year. As always, if I'm in Atlantic City or let's say Las Vegas or in this case Hollywood, Florida, the rooms are comped and I do appreciate that. In other places, they are not. Sometimes they are luxurious, sometimes they are practical, sometimes they're horrible. This was my room in New Orleans. It was a comfortable stay and in a great location. Probably the smallest room I've ever stayed in outside of a cruise ship. Here's Seneca, Niagara Falls. The Bellagio, Las Vegas. A corner suite at the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas. And of course, if you want to see these tours, room tours in detail, just check them out here on the New York channel. The Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida, the Guitar Hotel. 2024 was my very last stay at the Mirage in Las Vegas. Hopefully I'll be invited to the Hard Rock when it opens in 2027, I think. Here's the porch on St. Francis Street in Key West, a wonderful bed and breakfast I had here. Back home in Atlantic City, we have the Hard Rock's North Tower room. Here's a Hard Rock North Tower corner room offering up some really nice views. Here's a Hard Rock South Tower room. Keep in mind, as you're looking at these rooms, I've been in them dozens of times during the course of 2024. I'm just showing you an example of each one. Over at the Ocean Casino Resort, this is a standard room. This is a corner mini suite at the Ocean Casino Resort. Not quite sure what I did to deserve this. Over at Resorts Hotel and Casino, we have a room here in the Ocean Tower, a beautiful building here on the Atlantic City Boardwalk, very historic. This particular room is said to be inspired by Margaritaville. Built much later than the rooms over in the Ocean Tower, this is the Rendezvous Tower at Resorts, some of the biggest standard rooms in Atlantic City. Over at the Tropicana, we have the infamous Chelsea Tower room. Keep in mind, I booked this particular room just for you guys. Here's a Tropicana Havana room. Here's a North Tower room at the Tropicana, and keep in mind that I'm showing you examples of rooms that I've stayed at in 2024. I've stayed at other towers and hotels here in Atlantic City, and you can just go a little further back and you'll be able to see those as well. Over at Bally's, this is a Bally's Tower standard room. Here we have the Dennis Tower over at Bally's. Here's a standard room over at the Borgata. Also at the Borgata, a standard room in the MGM Tower. Here at Caesars, we have a standard Ocean Tower room. Here we have a standard Centurion room at Caesars, almost identical to the Ocean Tower room except for the view. Also this past year, I booked a room at Caesars Forum Tower, once again, just for you guys. The room was not one of my favorites, and the window didn't even have a view. It was frosted glass. I have no idea what was on the other side of that window. And finally, over at Harrah's, I stayed at the Atrium Suite during 2024. Again, I've stayed at most of the towers here at Harrah's, just not this past year. This video is all about 2024. And that's it, guys. 2024 has been an awesome year for me personally, as well as for the New Yawk channel. And of course, none of this could be possible without you, the loyal viewers and subscribers to the New Yawk channel. Thank you so much. I wish each and every one of you a happy, healthy, and prosperous new year. And don't forget to tune into the Jersey Jeff Eats channel later this week for a review of 2024 over there as well. And boy, did I eat a lot.